Okay, we're going to start again. For some reason it quit and I didn't even move my camera this time. So this is the card we're going to make today. It is using the stencils that came in the March Paper Pumpkin Kit, an Easter card. And these stencils are free for us. It's a gift. There's one that is the sun rays, and it's rays, a stencil with clouds of all sorts, one with stars, and one with the mountains. And those are the two that we're going to use today. Also, I'm going to be using the small flowers. This is the arranger wreath. Unfortunately, it is retiring, and I just got it, and I'm just discovering all the wonderful things about it. But it is on the retirement list. So the small flowers from that. And I'm using the Happy Easter stamp set from the arranger wreath, and also this set of leaves. The cross I'm going to make out of one of these wood grain pieces, scrap from the In Good Taste Designer Series paper. And this is one that is not, I'm surprised, it is not retiring. So it's a really good value. It has, let's see how many. You get 24 sheets, double-sided sheets with this, with all kinds of patterns. Very good value. The card base is the Blushing Bride, and it is 4 1/4 by 11, scored in half at 5 1/2. So that's our card base. And then we have a layer of Pear Pizzazz, and this is 3 1/2 by 3 5/8 by 4 5/8. Yeah. And then a piece of white cardstock, which is 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. And this is the layer we're going to be using, and I'm going to layer it like that. That's why this one's smaller. Okay, and then we have a 1 inch wide strip of cardstock that is going to be our label, and we're using this lovely labels pick a punch with the largest one. I'm going to slide it in. For some reason, this is really hard for me. There we go. Like that. And I'm going to stamp the greeting with with Mossy Meadow. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to cut it. This little piece that is left over here is about 1/8 of an inch, and I have measured before, and I'm going to cut this at 2 inches. So I'm going to put this in here like this at 2 inches and cut it. And this time I'm cutting and punching before I stamp, so I know where to place the stamp. Now there is a problem, because this is so short that you can't really get it in there. And so as for a little trick, I have a longer piece of cardstock that's 1 inch thick also, and I have a glue dot that's lost a lot of its glue. And I'm just going to stick my tag on there like that, see, to give something to push with. Because once you get that end in there, you lose all control. Line go through. And you can't very well get it back out. See how far it goes in? Now I'm going to turn it over and make sure that it's lined up straight. There. And then you can pull it back out, at least to where you can get a hand on it. Now I will stamp the greeting, which is Happy Easter. There. Okay, so the next step is to do our stenciling. I'm going to do this sun after I've done my mountains. And I used this one here. And originally I was going to try Sahara sand for the color of the mountains, but didn't like it. It wasn't quite the right color. So I then used mossy meadow and the Sahara sand, and this came out to be a nice touch. You have to be careful how inked up your ink pad is. And then make sure the card is that way. And then you just rub down over your edge like that. And then I wanted to have more than one mountain, so I slid it over sort of like this and did it again. Like that, and then kind of blended it together because I didn't mean to get that sharp edge there, so I'm going to try to hide it. I should have stopped before I got to the edge of the stencil. Now, to get the sun so it doesn't show down here in the mountain part, I had sponged the mountains onto a piece of plain old paper to use as a mask. So you lay that on the, get these ink pads out of the way. And I'm using Bumblebee ink for the sun. You'll notice that this is not, I cut the original into quarters for it. Okay, next thing is to lay the stencil on. And when I went to stencil the last time, look how this really sticks around. So I put small drops of liquid adhesive on it, on the tips of those, and then let them dry. I put them on there this morning, and now they are semi-adhesive, and they'll come up without harming my thing, but they'll stay put. And it's important that your mask doesn't go over the edge of your mountain, just up to it. Okay. And need to be sure that you have the top of the stencil is over the top of your card. Otherwise, you'll end up with a line across the top. Okay, so let's start. You could use painter's tape or washi tape to hold your mask in place while you position your stencil. There. Now make sure this is a clean sponge. And then probably best to work down towards the center. Like that. And then you can do the center. And you can sponge it to however dark you want the sun rays to be. I tell you, having those little dots of multi-purpose glue on there has made a world of difference. Okay, then you pull off your stencil and your mask. Voila! Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so this is Easter, and I have cut out of that wood grain paper from Taste of Texture a 2-inch by 1/4-inch strip and a 1-inch by 1/4-inch strip for the cross. I'm going to apply it with liquid glue. About like that. The trimmer is the best way to cut these narrow strips of paper. I tried doing it on I have a guillotine, one of the Stampin' Up! Old-fashioned guillotine ones. Oh, did this thing quit again? Oh, hi, Cindy. Nancy, I'm glad to see you're watching. Yay! And so we got that much done, and I'm going to put, if I lay that down just like that, it doesn't stand out as much. So I'm going to take the sponge that I sponged the mountains with and just sponge around the edge a little bit. To have just a hint of color to the edges of my label. See how that stands out better now? And I'm going to be mailing these cards, and it's going to be fairly thick anyway, so I'm just going to put this on with a strip of Stampin' Seal rather than put it up on dots, on dimensionals rather. Okay, and a few flowers, but first I'm going to put some leaves in there. And I'm going to use Pear Pizzazz. Oh, no, these are the birds. That could have been a terrible thing. Where's the leaf stamp? We would add green birds. Oh, the leaf stamp's not in the set. Aha. Here it is. Put a set of leaves out there. And a set down here. Oop. Got a little bit of a shadow there because I rocked the stamp. So be it. And we need the birds in the sky. The reason we need the birds in the sky, well, it gives a little more, a little brighter, more interest. But I accidentally got some gold on some of the yellow on one of these, on one of the cards I was making. So I had to cover it up with the birds. And after I did that, I thought, oh, these birds are perfect. And I stamped those with a Sahara sand. Okay, now for the little flowers. Set those aside for the moment. Get out my trusty mini die cutting machine. Okay, so I'm going to use one of the big dies, bigger flowers, and two small ones, because it's more artistic always to do it in threes. So put that over here on the die cutting machine. And crank her through. And if you'll notice, I'll show you on the bigger die, there are some, it looks like they're supposed to make holes, but they don't actually cut through. Instead, they kind of emboss it. Can you see where those holes are? They're kind of the raised. It's not working real well. I mean, they're not showing up real well, but it's there. And I misted, the last time I did it, I misted the paper with water to soften the fibers, and it showed up a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to put I am going to use a glue dot for the big one. I mean a Stampin' Dimensional, not a glue dot. My brain and my mouth are not working exactly the same in sync today. Put that up here. And then I'm going to use glue dots for the two little ones. And I'm going to stick one right there to cover up my boo-boo. And slide the other one right there. We have to have a little bit of bling, so I'm going to put some pearls in the centers of them. And for the big flower, I'm going to put a bigger one. These have adhesive on the backs of them. And then I'm going to use the little one. Oh, come on, get in the spot. Okay, before I put those on, I really should have mounted it onto my card's base, because with the bumps it's a little more of a challenge, but we can do that. I have found if I only put a little bit of the seal in the corners, if I don't get it straight, it's easier to pick it up and adjust it. Just like this. Straighten it out a little bit. There we go. And there we have our Easter morning card. Happy Easter, everybody. If you need any of the supplies that I have used, you can get them at Creations by Sue at Stampin'Up.net. That's my online store. Or you can email me at sue@soggystamper.com with your order, and I'll be happy to place it for you. My blog is www.soggystamper.com. And when you go to my blog, there is a thing for you to sign up for my mailing list. And I send out once a month a fairly extensive newsletter with several projects and some hints and things. Then on the rest of the weeks, on Tuesdays, I will send out another shorter email with a project and a hint, and always a reminder of the classes that I'm holding. So I thank you for watching. Also, this will be up on my YouTube channel, which is the Soggy Stamper. And so feel free to go there and watch some of the others I've made. When you get there, click the little subscribe button down at the bottom. And that way you will be notified whenever I do put one up. So that is it for an easy Easter card using the sponging. And I'll see you again next Friday at 3 o'clock. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.